two, one, let's go.
Hey everyone, welcome to the 5 Yard Pass. We got Sudi and Sham here covering all things United and football. Thought we'd start today with the 2-2 draw between United and Southampton. United really kind of saw it coming if you watched the second half. They looked great in the first half and then kind of fell away. Sudi, what were your thoughts about the game?
Yeah, it was a good chance, man, to get to kind of go into third, really, and then destiny's in our hands, so to speak. Um, but yeah, you saw it coming. If you look at the fixture list, I know we've been going on about how it's relatively easier. However, I do think that is the toughest game we have because by the time it gets to Leicester, I still think things are going to be predetermined. But it kind of shows the depth is needed. Um, the a few, I wouldn't say, I'd say backup is needed. Luke Shaw looked tired. Bruno, I mean, he got an assist. Pogba looked a bit tired, a few mistakes, but I don't think, again, nothing systemic, taking nothing away from Southampton. I thought they played, I mean, they've looked amazing, relatively speaking, amazing since they lost 9-0 to Leicester. So, they played really well.
Yeah.
A few choice decisions, Romelu's stud on Greenwood. I think that kind of took him out of the game mentally because he was quite absent through the game. No criticism there, just he's a kid. So my thoughts,
Yeah.
if you told me before the game 2-2, I probably wouldn't have taken it. But in the way it went down, I think 1-0 is kind of deserved, even though they scored at the last minute.
Yeah, I think they started off a little bit under pressure. They couldn't get through the press, but somehow after Southampton scored, they just played with a massive amount of venom. From that point to the water break, they looked like world beaters. And I just remember seeing the water break and thinking, oh, here we go. The momentum's going to get sucked out of the game. And
Yeah,
they played well enough the rest of the first half, but the second half was kind of like, it was almost as if the expectation that I spoke about before about them getting into the top four seemed to weigh on them a bit.
yeah,
And I don't think, like you said, people say it's Bruno's sort of worst game in a United shirt. It's not a bad game to have as your worst game.
no,
I
no,
think his issue was that we couldn't get him on the ball enough. And there were specific things that Southampton did, kind of the Greenwood thing,
yeah.
um, Bruno
There
not
was
being able to get on the ball so much.
there was something
We've
else.
been playing with the same team, and that can invite people analyzing us and finding weak points. And like
Yeah.
you said, more options, more depth, more quality of depth, I think is needed with this squad.
Yeah, and just to that point as well, I I wish I tactically knew, but there's something to be done there for um, understanding what to do when there's a massive press. Because a team that can do that and will smash us would be a Liverpool type team. Not so much Man
Yeah.
City. Man City kind of controls the game more than a press. But like a Liverpool or like Barcelona 10 years ago, that kind of team. It's good that it's good that it came out a draw because I think, like I said, it was a Liverpool type team with a Mane, excuse me, with a Mane up front. It would have been very different. So yeah, I was kind of pleased with that.
Yeah, definitely. I think playing a team like Liverpool, if you start like that, you're in trouble.
Yeah,
So some good
Liverpool.
lessons there to learn, and it might be trying something different, like having James as an outlet or something like that. Like I said, I can't quite put my finger on it, but I think it was as much a loss of composure as anything. They
Yeah,
were trying to get their way through it.
yeah,
Pogba just didn't see the fella, wasn't aware of it. Maybe he didn't get a shout that
yeah,
he was waiting for a shout,
yeah.
but it was the ideas were right to beat the press. The execution at times was just lacking,
I
and
did
the fact
say,
that they scored their goal through a press probably shows that.
yeah, and I did say so. 2 points to that is I did say I thought James should have started that game. I just felt, you just get this gut feeling that 4 or 5 lineups in a row was just a bit too much. It's just that touch too much, and also United have the second worst set piece record in the league after Arsenal. So
In
um,
terms of conceding,
yeah, sorry, in terms of conceding, second worst. So that's also something to think about. I don't think you can do much for United in terms of how the players they're going to get. They're not going to get much better than Bailly, Lindelof, Maguire, Twanzebe, Phil Jones. Like, how much more could you upgrade? It's all about something has to change in terms of the way they organize it. Because if you look at Ollie, he's a striker himself. It's kind of like when Steve Bull went to Arsenal. I think it was like a good 10 years ago, maybe 8 years ago. And Arsenal just changed the way they play defensively. It was suddenly that much better. And maybe that's something they got to think about, bringing in
mm.
someone defensively or just reshaping things. Carrick and what's his name, McKenna and Phelan have to think about
the
defensively.
the issue with United's interesting because they've had a good defense the last couple of seasons, and I think they're in the top 3 or top 5 defensively.
Yeah.
So their issue has been breaking down teams that sit deep. So they probably spent a lot of time working on how to break down teams that sit deep.
Mm.
This is the opposite of that. So they're going to have to just figure it out. They're probably not spend as much time as they would have liked on that because it's United and no one really plays that style against them. So
Yeah.
it's a good learning lesson for them.
Yeah, and one last thing on that point as well. That's actually a really good point. So still um, the third best defense in the league. And I think defending set pieces is a very different prospect to a unit moving together, shifting left, shifting right, and coming back. There's just a different prospect. There's much more kind of much more at stake when it's a set piece defending, whether it's a free kick or a corner around the box. So it's just again, it's just got to be. Ollie's seemed to he's identified problems in the team and he's solved them. I think this is the next problem he has to solve, and he's appeared to be good at solving problems, as in kind of compounded problems. So I think
Yeah, exactly.
that's the kind of biggest takeaway: the pressing and the set pieces. So the next thing I want to talk about was Rashford getting back on the score sheet, and Martial's goal was unbelievable as well.
Oh my word, yeah. Both goals are really good, but Martial's in particular.
Yeah,
And that period of game, that I think they hit the bar as well, maybe once or twice, and they just played with such venom. It was really,
yeah,
really amazing to watch. And those two boys, Rashford and Martial, more was it combined assists? Assisting Rashford. Sorry, Martial assisting Rashford and Rashford assisting Martial.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have the
That
numbers
record that
now.
they've got now more than York and Cole
Yeah,
in the
yeah. I
season.
can't remember the numbers it was, but I mean the folklore that is York and Cole, to surpass them numerically is a huge deal for me. And I still don't. I don't harp on stats, but I think it's just a point towards a trajectory. Another kind of data point towards the side improving.
And people probably thought, because these two guys are quite similar, they can play number 9, they can play number 11. How are these two going to work together? Well, they obviously can.
Yeah,
So the good thing is they're both young. They've both got plenty of years to try and keep that going.
yeah,
So onwards and upwards with
yeah,
that combination.
yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. So we got Palace this weekend, and then a tricky trip to Chelsea, which we'll talk about probably on Sunday or Saturday. But the Palace game, they've been in pretty atrocious form. They had a good game against Chelsea, arguably, but they've had 3 losses in the last 5, a draw and a win. Sorry, 4 losses in the last 5 and a draw. So what do you think about the game? Let's talk us through what you think Ollie should do better this time around. If there's any changes.
It'll be interesting because this is the game where every man and his dog is saying we need changes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to come down to how they set the team up at the start. And you just think that they're going to have to go back and lean on that Fred and McTominay axis in the midfield, which was playing really well before the break. We don't have much of an idea apart from Norwich about how they're playing after the break.
Yeah.
But you would think that, particularly with an FA Cup semi-final against Chelsea on the weekend, you'd think that they need to make some changes.
Yeah.
There's probably I'm thinking 4 or 5 changes. You're seeing changes on each line. It'll be interesting how not so much who they bring in, but how much game time they give to the 11 guys who are starting, knowing that there's an FA Cup semi coming up.
Yeah.
Guys like Bissaka, guys like Rashford and Martial.
Yeah.
How do they get these guys enough game time to get the result and also get them ready to play that FA Cup semi? Because that's something that United fans have had in their sights for a long time now, that this game against Chelsea.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's thinking about a trophy versus what you'd call the 4th place trophy as well. I think you talked about Fred and McTominay with Bruno. They've shown that there's something there as well, which is why I think those 3 are good. Obviously, you've had the 3 that started the last 6 or 7 games. I guess Bruno's caused such a. He's almost. He's undroppable at the minute. It's just a matter of, are they going to rest the 3? And I don't think they'll rest the 3. I think it'll be kind of, in the front 3 is going to be one of those 3 starting. It's going to be probably Bruno starting in the middle with Fred and McTominay, and then the back 4 might not change just because Williams and Shaw got injured.
Yeah. Well, assuming one of them will play, I think. Or we got a Rojo. But
Rojo's
I think
Rojo's in Argentina.
He's still there, is he? All right.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when they talk about Deadwood, okay, great. So I don't know who will play that. Maybe Delo was the only one.
I'm
There's talk
thinking
about a youth player called Laird.
Ethan Ladd. Yeah,
Ethan Laird, I
Ethan
think it
Ladd
is.
might come in. I was thinking
Bit of a
Ethan
Philip
Ladd
Lahm,
might
I've
come in
heard. Yeah.
Wan-Bissaka to rest him. You have, you know, you could put Dole on the left. There are options. I'm just saying, um, it's unfortunate that they probably brought Brandon Williams on. Well, Ollie did to give him to kind of warm his legs up for this game, and he's gone. And it was quite a bad head, man. It was quite a bad clash. Obviously, completely unintentional, but he's come off really bad. Like when it happened, I thought whoever he clashed with went down real bad, and he kind of got up because that's who Brandon Williams is. And you saw the blood running down, and it took quite a long time. And because of that injury, we conceded the goal because there was so much more extra time through no one's fault, obviously. But yeah, I just thought, I think everyone thought that Williams were going to get run out. But I guess I think Shaw will get rested this time around, and Ethan Laird might come in, and Diego Dolo.
Do you think there's a chance that they play Shaw now, knowing that Williams will be better for the weekend?
You mean for Chelsea?
Yeah. Will Williams play against Chelsea?
I think
No,
Shaw.
and Shaw plays now.
I think Shaw's had one bad game, and I think he had a bad game against Spurs.
Mm.
I think since then he's had very good Dennis Irwin like ratings, like a 6.5, 7 every game, and that's put him in good. Like he came off. Apparently, he's done a very small little twist on his ankle. Apparently, he's fit for the game tomorrow. So I think it's going to be a case where he doesn't play. There's going to be a bit of a mix around, and he plays on Sunday. I don't think you play Brandon Williams against Chelsea just because Luke Shaw's been in decent, solid form.
Yeah. No, Luke Shaw's been really good. Absolutely. I was just talking more in terms of how to manage the rotation and that injury, knowing that Williams, it looks like he'll probably be fine for Chelsea, but I doubt he'll play against Palace. So just throwing something out there. But
I wonder what
Laird would be interesting.
I
Yeah.
wonder what they
They say he's ready. So hopefully another youngster coming through and
Yeah, I
making a
mean they
difference.
talk about him being better than Dolo, and even they kind of people talk about him being attacking wise better than Wan-Bissaka. So I was just gonna
Wow.
say, speaking of Brandon Williams, I was wondering, I should go look it up, but like what are the kind of concussion protocols? Because he did get concussed. There's no doubt about it. He came off. He had no
Mm.
idea what was going on. I sorry when he was on the pitch, had no idea what was going on. So he shouldn't
I
like
think it's
this.
14 days actually. I heard someone saying it was
Yeah,
14 days. So he might actually be gone for the season.
yeah,
Now that
exactly,
you
right?
mention
So
it,
like
yeah.
I think AFL, for example, that's a good 3 to 4 weeks. Like they grade it, and I think the base is 2 weeks. So like I think like just based on the fact that you don't want a boy like that fucking around with a head injury that young. There'll be other games. So I don't think he'll play the rest of the Premier League season, if you ask me, and rightfully so. He should be, you know, lying in a bed just making sure he's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, with that in mind, do you think that given that Williams does have flexibility to play both sides and he can cover for both Bissaka and Shaw, is
yeah.
there a need for United to jump into the market and look for a left back?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think keeping Dolo would be good, but Dolo is also a very good player, and it's like you have the problem of having a good player on the bench who needs to play. So perhaps if you sell Dolo, if Ethan Laird doesn't kind of develop to scratch, but I don't see why he wouldn't. I saw him. We saw him against the Kazakhstani team. I can't remember the team right now, but the one when Ollie played all the youngsters. And he looks decent, man.
Yeah.
And you'll never know till you give a kid, especially a defender. It's always hard breaking into the team as a defender. You never know unless you give them a string of games. And you look
Yeah,
at Luke Shaw, for
exactly.
example, 6 years ago when he came, 6 years ago, yeah, and he was the best left back in England, and he's just taken time because, like, I personally, I think like a defensive position, especially being a team like United that was massive transition, the wrong move just doesn't work. It's not. It could go bad.
The instability doesn't help young players develop. Like, as much as we carry on about the class of 92, they had Cantona and Keane and Schmeichel, who are big
Yeah,
personalities,
yeah,
and Irwin as well, who you think would be a leader, but a quiet one, and
yeah,
guys like that help them along. So you look at United now, there's question marks over who those personalities are. And I like Fernandez, I like Maguire. Are they at that level personality wise that you Garrett Cantonas and Schmeichels are? There's a
yeah,
question mark there. De Gea definitely not at the level of Schmeichel.
yeah. I don't know. So we'll come back to predictions. We're just gonna touch on really quickly. I want to talk about the fair play. Now, Sham, you're good with numbers. Could you maybe give like a 30-second explanation as to what financial fair play is and what City did? I guess.
So financial fair play, this is the best way I can explain it, is there were clubs that were growing and perhaps growing too fast, and so they would overspend and spend money before they had it. So then they would go bust. Portsmouth was a good example.
Mm.
Leeds United was a good example.
With
So
Blackburn as
measures were
well.
put
Was
in
Blackburn as
place.
well in that category with the Indian owners as well?
Who, sorry? Oh, Blackburn. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay.
So the idea of FIFA Fair Play is to stop clubs from spending too much money.
Okay.
That's the basic idea behind it. The negative way of looking at FIFA Fair Play is that it came out about the time these sort of oil-rich clubs were getting big. Your Paris Saint-Germain's, your Manchester Cities were coming in and trying to, buy their way to the top, which is, it sounds bad, but let's face it, every club does it. Even United for the class of 92 spent money on Keane, British record. Cole was £7 million, which was absurd at the time, but it was proven to be worth money. Ferdinand, £30 million. Anyway, the idea is, one, it's measured in terms of sort of the profit and loss that the club makes, and also measured as a controlling of the wage. So the wage bill doesn't grow by too much season to season.
Mm.
So the idea is that Manchester City have overspent, either in terms of the wage bill or in terms of just the expenditure that's coming to the club versus the revenue.
So my thing is, I mean, if you look at there's like the official line of query where apparently they did something wrong, but they didn't, and they've got a £10 million fine, which is, apparently it's a day's work for your man, the Sheikh.
I saw something that if he would earn
Not
that
much
amount, but
weight,
from the time the hearing finished, he earned that much in 1.5 hours or something like
something
that.
like that. I
It's
mean,
ridiculous.
an absolute it's an absolute joke. There's not much to be said, man. Like everything I say will be very kind of emotional, but it's fucking ridiculous. Like if this happened to almost any other club that didn't have Arab or Russian backing, and there's not many clubs in the league, but you know what I'm talking about. I mean, United would have got smashed for this. I mean, as much as I hate Liverpool, Liverpool would have got destroyed for this. And let's say they've done this, I reckon they would have taken Premier League. If let's say in a few years' time we find out about Liverpool, they probably take their Premier League medal away. But City's gotten away with it. And you think about this was 2012 to 2016, so you have the Aguero season, the famous Aguero goal season. You have the season United came second. And I'm thinking, like, well, these seasons United should have won. That's just the kind of thought process you have, because this is the same kind of things. I guess Liverpool would think about last season. Like, a good example is this: if you found out a UFC fighter or a boxer was doping, and they were like, "Oh no, but he didn't dope for your fight, the fight that you fought him and he beat you," you'd still be like, "Yeah, but motherfucker was still doping,"
Yeah.
It just taints
And
the thing.
they're spending too much in 2012. So that allows them to be at a higher level. That allows them to spend more the year after and the year after and the year after.
Absolutely.
It helps them. It actually helps them incrementally grow faster.
And
The
that's
the issue is that it seems like the reason they were found not guilty is because of a statute of limitations. It's a technicality as opposed to if it was found they'd done nothing wrong, yeah, fine. That's the process, and whoever says this and City says that, and they sort it out. But it almost seems like, yeah, you were guilty, but we caught you too late, and that leaves a bit of a bitter taste in your mouth, because it's kind of like
I mean, man,
they go away scot free.
in that case, Bill Cosby shouldn't be in jail. They caught him too late. Like, fucking hell.
Yeah,
And,
10
and
million is one of De Bruyne's legs. I mean, it's not
Pep
much of a fine.
and Pep coming out, I do understand you got to defend the club. I genuinely I get him coming out and saying people got to stop whispering, talking behind the back. But the fact of the matter is, if they came out and the FA came out, sorry, FFP, CAS, and all that came out and said, "Hey, look, like actually there was nothing wrong," and didn't find them, and then Pep came out with all these kind of aggressive defensive comments. Sorry, yeah, fine, but like it's still fine. Like you know, you can go around circles with this. It just infuriates me just the pure
Yeah.
corruption that's going on there. And you think it's
And
going
like I
to change
said
in the
before,
elections?
this is a crucial time for City, because they've had this very successful era.
Yeah,
Their sole company, he's not really been replaced. Fernandinho, Silva, Aguero, their best days are behind them.
yeah,
So as much as they've got Mahrez, Sterling, De Bruyne, Edison, Laporte, they have to go and buy 4 or 5 quality players in the next 2 years.
Yeah.
So if they were not able to do that, it would set them back that time. Like Chelsea now. Chelsea have now gone bought a whole bunch of players now that they couldn't buy a season ago.
Mm.
But Manchester City can rebuild much quicker
Yeah.
because they actually have to, and that's probably why they fought it so hard, because strategically in their vision, they're buying the next generation after De Bruyne and Sterling, and
Yeah.
they need to do that now to get them to bet in.
Yeah. Back to what we are saying. So if I was a striker and City comes in for me, and I'm going, De Bruyne is giving me the ball every week, I'd love it. But it's interesting because you haven't seen any big links to City. The Sancho thing was swatted very quickly. You're not even seeing kind of these hot Brazilian prospects, the Gabriel Jesus, even Aguero at the time was a hot a hot prospect from the Spanish league. It's interesting. The only big link that I know of at the minute is Koulibaly from Napoli, and
Yeah.
I wonder if they're
And
going
that seems quite up for grabs. There seems to be 3 clubs with a shot for him. So it's not like Sancho where it seems like United's the favourite and everyone else is chasing tail. It seems like there's a genuine one
to.
third, one third, one third chance.
Koulibaly for me is a Van Dyke of the Van Dyke ilk.
Yeah,
He is.
yeah.
I mean, since the restart, I've been tossing and turning who I think the best defender in the world is. I still think it's Ramos. I think he is, just everything and a beautiful man. And apparently he's Jewish, which I don't know adds to the points.
He's a thug, but he's a beautiful thug.
He's a Jewish thug. That's what he is. Um, and they're gonna win the league. And they're gonna win the league. Um, tomorrow they're probably going to win, or tonight actually, they're probably going to win the league. So, like, good on them. I think Ramos is excellent, but Koulibaly is in
That
that.
man has got ice in his veins.
Absolutely, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Uh, I just think United. I don't think they're Koulibaly, but I think City's going to get them. And in a way,
Oh, you think City will go Koulibaly?
I think so. I think with this being out the window, a lot of players are going to have a perception of invincibility about Man City. The way United could, when Fergie used to come and touch his watch, that kind of aura City have right now, but they've undeservedly got it by defeating the FFP
The system, yeah.
ruling. Yeah, so I think a lot of you have like the Koulibaly types where they're quality and they want a massive payday from the Premier League. Why not, man? Like I fucking
He's 29. He's looking for his last payday. He'll give 5
absolutely
years for
3 to 5
himself to a
years.
club, but he wants that money. Yeah.
You come over. You're the team to beat Liverpool. You play 3 solid years of 200 grand a week. Like, man, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be interesting. And I will say like Klopp said this. He had kind of fiery words to say about Man City, but um, I said this as well. Where City's gonna play 8 to 12 games less through the season. Um, if they had
City.
if they had got the ban, if they had got the Champions League ban.
Mm.
So look, it's gonna come overall. It's gonna be better from a footballing perspective, but in terms of corruption and systemic change, I think it's just the worst decision.
Yeah.
Worst
Yeah.
outcome.
It's not so much what's happened, it's the way it's happened that I think leaves a bad taste with a lot of people.
Absolutely. So just to finish off, Sham, like we kind of dragged on a bit there, let's see, but fuck them. Just to finish off, do you want to just say any last words on the Palace game, and what you think the score will be?
It's going to be a very, very interesting game. Potentially the most interesting, I think, out of this little post-COVID season that we're having.
Yeah.
Because United need to get that balance right. It's very important that some of the players get a bit of a rest before Chelsea. I think you're going to see perhaps 3 subs at halftime, and Oli will leave himself. You'll have, say, for example, Fernandes playing a half and switch with Pogba or Martial with a half switch with
exactly
Rashford.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be a triple sub at halftime.
Yeah.
Those 6 players will get some rest.
Yeah.
I really want to say I do think United will win. I do think it's going to be I'm going to go 3-1. I do think that they are good. It'll be the sign of a good team. If they come back from that angry, it'll make me happy. Even if they don't get the win, I want to see them angry at what happened against Southampton, because that's what a good side would do.
All about the response, man. I remember Fergie always used to say that big losses like the Liverpool 4-0 at home, it's all about the response. So, like, you come back, and it's not even a loss. Like, people forget, like,
Yeah,
we drew.
it feels like a loss, but it's not a loss. It's a draw.
Which is great, which is fantastic. It felt like a loss.
Our destiny's in our hands still. Don't forget that. It's still in our hands.
Top four still there.
And the one thing I wanted to mention, goal difference, Leicester were 30, United were 12. Now it's 29-26. So the goal difference has come right back into play. 3 goals, I think, or 4.
I think it's 3 as of because it's yeah, sorry, it is 3. Yeah. I think pretty similar. I think it's going to be 2-0 just because of the kind of raft of changes. It's going to be a kind of a very tentative 2-0, close shop at 70 minutes, and just get the 3 points. So I think 2-0. It's going to be a few changes, and yeah, I'm excited, man.
Yeah.
You want to
Very
wrap this
excited for
up?
that. Chelsea's won, but they've got two big games coming up. It's going to be very, very interesting close to the season, just in the league. Never
Yeah.
mind the FA Cup. So really excited to see some good football coming up.
Who Chelsea playing?
They beat Norwich last night, but
Oh,
they've
they
got
got
Liverpool and
1-0.
Wolves to finish the season.
Yeah, so they're thinking of 3 tough games, including the FA Cups. 3 tough games for them because
Yeah,
they're not going to go into Munich even worrying too much. They're 3-0 down. Is it 3-0, 3-1 down?
yeah,
Uh,
3-0. Yeah.
yeah, so it's not gonna much gonna happen there. Anyway, so that's it to end today's video. Thanks a lot for watching the 5 Yard Pass channel, guys. And
Don't
yeah,
forget
go
to
on.
jump. Don't forget to watch the preview for the Chelsea game on Sunday.
And next week we'll be doing our 5 Yard channel Player of the Year awards for the Premier League. So tune into that as well. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe as well. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.